Good morning, good morning, good morning, and thank you all for tuning in to Wake Up to Morning Inspirations with me, your girl Rochelle Lewis, here on Let's Live Radio. And as always, I'm in the studio with none other than Miss DJ Kelly Fresh. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
And I'm also in the studio this morning. I have a treat for you guys with my guest, Miss Sheryl Boudy, with Sheryl in the kitchen. Good morning, Miss Sheryl.
Good morning.
And she is also the author of recipes my daddy never wrote down. Wow. So Miss Cheryl, I am so honored to have you here with me on this morning, to hear all about the amazing things you have been doing. I mean, I want to first congratulate you on the 6,000 followers that you have.
Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
6,000, right?
Yes, thank you.
I want to congratulate you on that. I want to also congratulate you on this amazing book that you have put out that has been getting rave reviews all over Facebook, Instagram. I mean, it's just all out there. Every time I look on your page, I'm so teased. I'm hungry. I'm like, oh my God, all this food looks so amazing. So I want to just hear all about it, guys. So I mean, you don't want to go anywhere. You want to stay tuned. You want to call in, be part of the conversation, find out how you can get a copy of this amazing book and hear all about these amazing recipes that is in there. Call in 504-294-5483. Be part of the conversation. Have any questions for Ms. Sheryl or myself, we welcome you to call in and be part of the conversation. Again, the number is 504-294-5483. So, Ms. Sheryl, this book has been getting rave reviews.
Yes.
The recipes my daddy never wrote down. Where did that name come from? I know that you said, well, just tell me about it. How did that
Okay.
name come about?
Okay. Well, that's one of the main focuses of a book to me is the title.
Okay.
Because without the title and the impact that the title gives me, I wouldn't have never known to do that. So my son Christopher and I were working on my book when I first started in 2015, and he was like, "Ma, well, you got to think about a title." I was like, "Okay." So he's like, "Just spit out whatever words you think of, just spit them out." So I started talking about Southern cooking and Creole cuisine, and he's like, "Oh, that's too common." So I must have gone through, at least 45 minutes of just throwing stuff out. But he was writing them down.
Okay.
And so once he wrote them down, it was like 20 of them, and none of them were hitting on nothing. And so he was like, "Well, look, Mom, what is it about Papa that was so different than any other cook? Because there's so many good cooks out here." And I
Yeah.
was like, "You're right." I was like, "I don't know, Chris." I said, Papa never wrote nothing down." He's like, "Mama, I think that's it.
Oh, wow.
I think that's it." He's like, "Well, he said, we don't call him Papa. We don't call him, you don't call him a father. You call him Daddy." I said, "Okay, well then, recipes my daddy never wrote down." And he's like,
Wow.
"I think that's it." And so then I also, being born and raised in New Orleans, I wanted to have New Orleans somewhere on the front of my book as well. So as you can see, it's recipes my daddy never wrote down, a collection of New Orleans recipes from my childhood.
Wonderful.
So that is how the title came about.
Wow, that is a very unique title.
Yes.
That's saying a lot. That is exactly my recipes my daddy never wrote down.
Right.
That's a very unique title. So, Miss Cheryl, I want to ask you. So, tell me a little bit about your dad. Let's go back to him. Since he's your inspiration for all that
Yeah.
you're doing. So, tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah. My dad's name, my dad is deceased now, but his name was Alvin Aramburo Sr. Alvin Noel Aramburo Sr. because he was born on the 31st of December, and so my grandmother named him Noel, which was Christmas, a
Okay.
Christmassy kind of tone. So he was born in New Orleans. He was one of 11 siblings, and he grew up on Gravier. Like he used to tell people, he lived on Gravier between Padita and Padita. But we all know that's not true. But anyway, he grew up in a home with a wonderful cook, which was
Okay.
my grandmother, Pauline
Wow.
Aramburo, and she cooked for 13 people, including her and my grandfather Ferdinand Aramburo.
Okay.
And so, as a child, he told me these stories. I used to love listening to my daddy's stories, and I knew I wanted to write this book. And so, I did ask him while he was still living, "Well, Daddy, who taught you how to cook?" And he's like, "Well, Mama taught me how to cook. He said when he was a young boy that he broke something from the waist down. I don't know if it was the leg or what it was, but he was put in a body cast for 3 months, and he had to stay home from school.
Oh,
So while he
wow.
was home from school, my grandma put him to work, and he became her sous chef.
Oh,
And so he helped prepare the meals. From what I'm told from some relatives,
okay.
is that he would go outside with my grandma, and they had like a little chicken coop,
Okay.
and he learned how to wring chickens' necks and help my grandmother clean chicken. And back in those days, they used every part of the chicken, and some people still do today. And they
The
loved,
back and everything.
yeah, but they love chicken feet,
Oh,
chicken
wow.
feet. And so my
Yeah.
dad, he came up in a home like that where they really used every piece of the meats and different things, and just real good home cooking with a lot of gravies.
Wow. So
Yeah.
he learned. So he learned
So
from
he
his,
learned from
the
his
best.
friends. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
That's amazing. Yeah,
yes.
he spent time. So he grew a love for what he spent time doing. He grew a love for the food,
Exactly,
which was amazing.
exactly.
So let me ask you. So what is one of your one of your fondest memories of you and your dad? And when did you start? You and your dad in the kitchen. And when did you start cooking with your dad? How old were you?
I can remember as young as about 8 or 9, I was in the kitchen, and I was doing a lot of the sous chef kind of things. He had us shucking corn for stewed corn. He had us cutting the okra. We had a systematic way. You had to wipe the okra off. You had to cut the stem. You had to cut it this way. And so he let us help a lot in the kitchen. And so that's one of my fondest memories of just constantly being in the kitchen prepping. Now, once I prepped, I would go, like we had a long counter, and I would go and stand next to the counter because he had his regular spot where he would chop and his cutting board and all that, and I would be standing right there, right
Wow.
next to him, just taking in everything.
Absorbing all that wisdom.
Yes, and I had mentioned once before, my daddy was a whistler. And so he would just cook and whistle, and he would cook, and the whistling would get louder. And so I would be in the kitchen, and I would whistle too, and we would just whistle and sing songs, a lot of church
Oh.
songs he was whistling, and I would whistle the songs back. And it was just a great time for us. But guess what? He didn't tell me anything about the recipes. I just watched. He didn't tell me, oh, Sheryl, I'm putting in a cup of this, or I'm putting in a teaspoon of that. I tried to ask many times, well, Daddy, how you know how much to put in there? He's like, girl, you don't need to measure nothing. He said, just go by your sight. Go by the sight of it. Go by what it tastes like. He said, and the texture. And once you do that, you got it made. But I don't know about I don't know about no recipes, and I don't know about no measuring. So he never did measure.
He
Never.
always what they call it, eyeball.
Yes, yes. He eyeballed the dish.
Wow, that's amazing. You have a lot of great memories with your dad, and that's why I say it's always so important as families to create those types of memories. Get in the kitchen with your kids and
Exactly.
cook versus going out fast food all the time. Those type of things create great memories, and it helps build them as well.
Right.
It helps build them up as well. My daughter does that a lot with my husband, like his sous chef. That's memories that she's gonna have and be able to grow, whether she pursue it or not. But I like that. That's really great.
Exactly.
So, guys, you heard it here. I'm here again. Like I said, my guest is Miss Sheryl Boudy with Sheryl in the Kitchen, author of Recipes My Daddy Never Wrote Down. We're talking about her amazing experience, her journey, walking into her purpose. So we're going to take a quick break. And like I said, guys, please call in, be part of the conversation, 504-294-5483, and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
Sheryl Boudy is a self-taught home cook who learned the ins and outs of the kitchen mostly from watching her daddy cook. With a passion for cooking and a love for food and family, she has been cooking her whole life and enjoys every minute of it. Her new cookbook, Recipes My Daddy Never Wrote Down, is a combination of recipes she perfected over time. Visit SherylBoudy.com. That's SherylBoudy.com to learn more about this amazing cook and her New Orleans-inspired recipes.
All right, guys. So we are back. We are back. We're back with more Wake Up to Morning Inspirations. I'm in the studio with my guest, Mrs. Sheryl Boudy, with Sheryl in the kitchen, author of Recipes My Daddy Never Wrote Down. Before we went on break, she was sharing her experience in the fondest memories of her being in the kitchen with her dad, just sharing just great times with him, just whistling and singing songs in the kitchen, not knowing she was learning so much and gaining so much wisdom from him during that time, and now she's able to carry it over now to where she's created this amazing recipe book that's just have rave reviews all over Facebook and social media, Instagram. It's so important to spend time with our kids and create memories that they can grow with and grow from. So, Miss Sheryl, let me ask you. So, I know, when did Sheryl in the kitchen? Let me back up. Before you became Miss Sheryl in the kitchen, Miss Sheryl Boudy, you worked as a social worker for 36 years.
Correct.
So, when did you know I have a passion to do something else? When did you know? When did you know your passion was for cooking?
Well, I knew my passion was for cooking when I was a young girl. I was
Okay.
obsessed with cooking.
Okay.
I just loved to cook. As a teenager, my dad let me just venture out and cook on my own. And
Okay.
so maybe in my early 20s, my brother and I, Anthony, we started catering because my mom and dad were in a lot of organizations and everybody always needed food. And so
Okay.
my dad is like, well, my children can cook. And so we were like, okay. So we just started cooking, for the Knights of Peter Claver and just different functions at Holy Ghost and where we our church back then. And so I really started cooking like in my early 20s
Okay.
and just never stopped.
Okay. So you were cooking in your early 20s, but you still went off and went to college and had a whole nother career.
Correct.
Okay. In spite of.
I graduated from Xavier University, and from Xavier I went to LSU and got my master's in social work. And so my focus, although I loved cooking, at that time I looked at cooking more than like a hobby.
Yeah.
It was more like a hobby. It wasn't my career, my profession. So I began as a social worker in 1982 and worked a few places, and then I wound up working for the state of Louisiana in child protection in 1985, where I was actually a child protection investigator.
Wow. Okay.
And from that, in 1987, I became a child abuse specialist, where I interviewed children and investigated child sexual abuse
Wow.
for 15 years.
Wow.
And then I became a supervisor for the rest of those years, 18 years or so. And so child protection was a very, very worthwhile job, although it was very, very stressful.
Okay.
And so when I would come home, I didn't want to talk about work anymore. I just wanted to just get in the kitchen and cook. It was like therapy for me. It released a lot of what I felt during the day. And
It was a happy place.
and so it was a happy place for me, a very happy place. And I didn't know how to leave my happy place.
Wow.
My husband was like, "You still in the kitchen?" Yeah. And I would just cook and just go from one thing to the next. And we would have meals lined up, like for the whole week.
Wow.
And so, of course, gradually, I still do that now. Although all my children are gone from home, I still stay in the kitchen.
Okay. So you had three boys, right?
Yes, 3 sons.
Wow.
Christopher, Alvin, and Alden.
Wow. Do any of them cook as well?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Alden cooks very well. He's a fly chef. That's what he calls himself, fly chef. But he's a teacher.
Okay.
And, and he cooks, and he's done really, really well with his cooking and his career. And my son Alvin is, He's a artist,
Okay.
and his name is, he goes by Art Face, and he's very good in the kitchen.
Okay.
And my son Christopher, he's the oldest. He mostly likes to eat.
Oh, okay.
He didn't pick up the cooking skills
Where
like the other two.
all children are gonna pick up everything, so
Yeah,
he wanna eat it. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and he's the one who designed my website and who published my book,
Wow.
recipes my daddy never wrote down.
So see, he took
Yes.
another turn. He didn't do the cooking in the kitchen, but
No,
he's helped pushing
he's the
everything
tech
out there.
person. He's the techie person. He's
I
a tech
love it.
son,
I love it.
computer savvy.
Okay, so you worked in your profession, and then at what point of time you say, you know what, I'm ready to pursue this and go
Right.
straight on with.
Right.
Head
Well, I think it was like maybe in the last 7 years I was working from home. I was in centralized intake, where all the calls came into the hotline, and the supervisors would assess whether or not to accept the cases or to send them on for other services. And I was at home, and I had, was still working, but had a lot of time to think about what do I want to do after retirement,
Okay.
because I knew that was coming up. And so after 33 years, I still wasn't ready to leave my job, but I knew it was time.
Yeah.
And back in 2015, I said, you know what? I want to write a book. I want to have something, because I started seeing people on Facebook with these groups. And I asked my son, well, how do you do that? And he's like, well, you just get a group. I was like, how much does that cost? Mom, it's free. He said, just get on it and just do your thing.
Invite.
I was
yeah.
like, but I don't know if I'll really be able to do that. He's like, well, you cook every day. Just post your pictures, tell people about your recipes, give them tips. And so I did that. And I started, of course, very fresh out the gate. I knew nothing about Facebook groups. I knew I wanted to be involved in the
Yeah.
group, because a lot of times I would go on these cooking groups and it would be like 37,000 people and 20,000 people, and no one was responding to what the people were asking.
Yes.
You didn't have that one-on-one interaction. And from the day I started, I basically, and I still do, communicate with the followers, and I share my recipes, I answer their questions. And a lot of
Yes.
people told me once my book came out that they feel like I was successful because I was consistent.
Yeah.
I was consistent, I was there.
Interacting
I
with them.
talked about my vision with them from day one. I talked about the cookbook. Several people would inbox me and say, Miss Sheryl, your cookbook is not out yet. Like 2 years within, Sheryl and Kate. 3 years, 4 years. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I just was not ready to commit to doing this because it takes time.
Yes.
It
Yes.
takes a lot of time. And now I see it. Now that I'm retired, 3 years I'm retired,
Okay.
I actually, put more work into it within the last 2 years.
Okay.
Once I retired.
So what year did Sheryl in the Kitchen? What year did you create Sheryl in the Kitchen? Did it start?
2015. I created Sheryl in the
2015.
Kitchen with my website was first, and then my Facebook group, and then Instagram.
Wow. And Sheryl in the Kitchen, that page, guys, have you so hungry. Oh my Lord. Don't go on that hungry. Oh my goodness. The food, the pictures, all the different recipes, the things that she's creating on there is just so mouth-watering. I mean, you eat with your eyes first, right?
Right, exactly.
So you're eating already every time you look
Exactly.
at it. So you're like, wow. Eat
Exactly.
with your eyes first. So it was created in 2015, and then the book came in 2020,
Right,
5 years later.
correct.
Wow. Okay, 5 years later. So in 2015, you started creating Sheryl in the Kitchen, and now how many followers did you start out with when you first started? How many followers did you have when you first started?
Well, of course, I had none.
Well, I mean, like, say within a year of you doing it.
Oh, within a year, I think I might have had like 300. The 300 followers, and I was so excited when I started, putting up my Facebook stuff and my book things. Some of my followers started putting up old messages, old recipes, things that I was saying way back, and I would be so excited that I was like, y'all, I have 300 followers, and I was all, in a good mood and everything. And then, it elevated to more and more and more people just
yes,
by
it did. Because
yeah.
today we at what, 6,000?
6.1 thousand.
6.1
Yeah.
thousand.
And prior to my book, I made a note of this, is that when my book came out in December, I had 4.6 thousand followers. then once my book came out,
It just
it just
escalated.
escalated.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's favor, because I mean now she's at congratulations again.
Thank you.
6.1 thousand. Well, you said 6.1, right?
One,
Miss?
right.
6.1 followers today.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. That is a lot of followers. And I feel because the people feel they can connect with you, Miss Sheryl. Like I said, you interact with them, you
Right.
communicate with them. You make yourself, you become personal with the people. And that's
Right.
why I say the audience love that. You have to kind of communicate with them.
Right.
You can't just be there behind the scene and not saying anything.
Right, exactly.
And that's just favor. So that is truly amazing. So, and that was in 2015. So now we're at 6,000 followers. So, and the book came out in 2020.
Yeah, at December 12th, I had a cookbook release at my home with COVID and everything. I have not been able to have a book signing out in the public, and so I decided to have a book release. And so that book release was so important to me, and we set it up where people were able to, be there. I think I had 275 people who had signed up and RSVP'd. And it was so nice. It was emotional for me.
I bet it was. I bet
it was a good time. It was really a good time for me. And I think that's when I started realizing that this is more than just me putting out this book. But let me tell you what I was thinking. I said, I'm gonna put out this book, get all of these thoughts of food and these recipes out of my head. And then I'm just going to order a couple of 100 books, okay? I'm going to order 200 books. And then I'll get my money back of what I spent to publish the book. And then I was going to be done.
So
I
you
was going
thought,
to be
right?
all done. And it didn't work that way. It
So
was
you
like
thought.
within 2 days, I sold the 225 books I had. And I was like, okay,
wow.
so I needed to order more.
Some more.
I ordered 250. I sold out of that in about a week. I was like, well, look, I got to go big. I said, because I don't want to have people waiting, I don't want to, order too many. I don't want to be too, ambitious.
Yeah.
And so I ordered 400. I received the 400 books on the 28th of January, and I'm about out again.
Wow.
I just put in another shipment the other day. I'm getting 400 more.
And then all that, they ordering off the website as well.
Right. They're ordering. You can order my book on the website at SherylBoudy.com. Once I got into this, of course, I was on Channel 8, and then I was on with Liz Reyes twice, and my numbers go up every time I have a show or something where they're spotlighting me. And then I was on Channel 4, and then I got more orders where the audience was, seeing about Sheryl in the kitchen. And so the numbers constantly went up. And then I had an owner of a bookstore in the French Quarter.
The community, yeah.
No, the
Rue,
Rue,
yes.
Rue Royale. The wife saw it in the newspaper, and she told her husband, I think I want that book in our store.
Wow.
And so my brother and I went to Rue Royale once we figured it was legit, because sometimes I was just getting all kinds of stuff in my email. I didn't know if it was real or if people were just, doing things to say, because they knew I had a book. So we brought it there. So my book is available at Rue Royale in the French Quarter, which I was so excited because that touches, that touches an audience that I would have never touched.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
tourists.
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And then recently, last week, I went to Vera at the community bookstore.
Yes, ma'am. I heard about that.
Yeah,
Congratulations
and
on
my
that
book
one.
is over there at the community bookstore on Bayou Road in New
Yes,
Orleans.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I'm
Congratulations to
excited
that. That's
about that.
blessings and favor.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that put out their books. They don't get that much, review or get to be put into different bookstores and
Right.
outlets to have that type of exposure like that. So that's a big congrats and to you,
Exactly.
and that's favor. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
amazing. That is truly amazing. So, guys, we're going to take another quick break, and we will be back. But remember, call in with some questions. You want to find out how to get this amazing recipe book. You have any questions for Ms. Sheryl or myself, please call in and be part of the conversation. Or just call in and tell her congratulations on her 6,000 followers that she has. Tell her congratulations on the different places her book has been placed in. Just call in, congratulate, and, find out how she did it and what you can do. Be part of that. Call in 504-294-5483. Thank you. Be right back.
Sheryl Boudy is a self-taught home cook who learned the ins and outs of the kitchen mostly from watching her daddy cook. With a passion for cooking and a love for food and family, she has been cooking her whole life and enjoys every minute of it. Her new cookbook, Recipes My Daddy Never Wrote Down, is a combination of recipes she perfected over time. Visit SherylBoudy.com. That's SherylBoudy.com to learn more about this amazing cook and her New Orleans-inspired recipes. Sheryl Boudy is a self-taught home cook who learned the ins and outs of the kitchen mostly from watching her daddy cook. With a passion for cooking and a love for food and family, she has been cooking her whole life and enjoys every minute of it. Her new cookbook, Recipes My Daddy Never Wrote Down, is a combination of recipes she perfected over time. Visit SherylBoudy.com. That's SherylBoudy.com to learn more about this amazing cook and her New Orleans-inspired recipes.
Okay, guys, so we are back with more Wake Up to Morning Inspirations on Let's Live Radio. I'm in the studio with my guest, Miss Sheryl Boudy, with Sheryl in the Kitchen, author of Recipes My Daddy Never Wrote Down. We were just sharing before we went on break all of the amazing things that she's doing, just talking about the followers. Now she's at 6,000 followers on her page of Sheryl in the Kitchen with all the amazing food that she kind of teases you with, because don't go on there if you're hungry, because you're gonna, you eat with your eyes first, and there's just so many amazing recipes. I saw that roast you did, Miss Sheryl. Then you did the gravy, and then you did the roasted garlic. I'm like, let me just turn this page off right now. I can't do this. I cannot do it. I know that coming up, growing up, your kids, all their friends was over at your house, right?
Yes, they were. Yes,
I know
they were.
they found a reason to come over.
Yes, they were. My son Alden, he had a large group of friends, and they decided that they were going to go to each other's house like every Friday or Saturday, just to hang out. And so when it got to be his turn, he told me about it, and I just did a whole spread. I mean, gumbo, fish, pasta. Ooh. I just had all the sternos out. And so the kids, when it was the next person's turn, he's like, Mom, they want to know if they can come back over here. I was like, well, what do y'all normally eat? He said, we just put in $5 and we order some pizza. So from that point on, they would come to my house.
Coming to your house. I know they were.
And the nice part about it is my husband and I both said, we rather see these young black men in our house where they're
Yeah.
safe
Yes.
rather than out in the street. And a lot of times, guess what? They all just crashed in the back room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Woke
but
up to
all-
breakfast.
So you cook some breakfast too, and I see that. So I guess you
Yes.
love to entertain,
Yes.
and so that's good too. You know, that's really good. I would have been making time. Can I come over and get some water? Trying to find every excuse I could to get over to your
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
So I know that your books are now in the French Quarters, like I said, in 2 different outlets, 2 different bookstores, and that's amazing, Miss Sheryl. And like I said again, I want to congratulate you on that. So what are your plans now with Sheryl in the kitchen? What are you planning on going from here?
Well, like I said, when I started, I didn't know. I had the vision, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do step by step. But when it came to the book and the amount of exposure and the amount of people who wanted to buy my book, I didn't see this part. And one of my friends, Stephanie, she told me from the very beginning, she said, "You have to learn how to walk in favor.
Wow.
God is blessing you for everything you've done in life, taking care of your parents, being a good sibling, a good wife, a good mother, working in child protection for all those years when I was totally drained from all of the cases that I had to deal with."
So every seed you didn't sow.
Yeah. And so I just was like, okay, I'm just going to walk in my purpose. And so once I started looking at it that way, where I really needed to walk in my purpose, I couldn't just order these books, sell 200 and stop. So things just started coming to me. I'm a very creative person to begin with, and so organized. I just know how to do things.
Yes.
So I just started reaching out to, my family. My brother Anthony has been an extremely positive force in my life who has helped me so much. My husband has been there. My children have been there. I have had friends. My brother Alvin in Alaska, he has helped me. It's just so many people have, every time I talk to someone, they gave me insight.
Wow.
And I bought a book, and the title of my book is right over here. It's called Walk by Faith. And I started just writing everything down that I needed to do. And so the very first thing that people kept asking me is, "Do you have a publicity photo?" And I was like, "No." "Do you have a logo?" "No." "Do you have any?" No, because I didn't go into this
For
looking
that.
at this as a business. I
Yes.
went into it just to write down some of my daddy's recipes, and I was going to go from there.
Wow.
But I didn't know where it was going to take me. And my friend Stephanie said, "I'm going to tell you why you didn't see this happening. It's because if you would have known that all of this was going to happen to
You
you,
would've did
you
it.
probably would have backed out." God didn't want you to see where he was leading you. He wanted you to walk by faith.
Yeah.
And when I saw this book at the store, I said, "That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk by faith."
Yeah.
So I got with my family. I got with my friends. And so I said, okay, what's next? And so that's my little pat phrase is, what's next? So I started thinking about having cooking classes, first on Sheryl in the Kitchen.
Yes.
And then I'm going to do cooking with kids.
Wow.
Or Sheryl in the Kitchen, or cooking with kids. Cheryl in the Kitchen. I don't have the whole framework of how I'm going to do that.
Okay, but it's
But
coming.
I really believe that you have to start with children when they're
Yes.
young. You
Yes.
cannot wait until you're married
ma'am.
and you got a family and you're
Amen.
trying to figure out, how do I cook? How do I prep? How do I serve my family?
Yes.
Like you said earlier, it's not about going to the fast food restaurants. Yeah, the kids are going to like that.
Yeah, they will.
But their health is going to be affected.
Yes.
The memories are not going to be there.
No, ma'am.
Nobody's in the kitchen. You don't have that good smell coming from the house.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
It just brings you together.
Yes.
Bring
And
families
so,
together.
yeah, I'm coming up with some things. I'm actually going to be doing some book signings. I'm going to be talking with Vera over at the community bookstore. I'm going to be getting into some things with her, preferably, doing book signings, doing taste testings.
Wonderful.
I'm having a luncheon as well as a book signing
Yes.
and a cooking demo on March 13th of next month from 10 to 12 at Kay's Place at 1525 Lapalco, Suite 17 in Harvey. And I'm opening it up to the deaf community as well as to the general public.
Wonderful.
And I say the deaf community because my brother is an interpreter. The one, I keep calling his name, Anthony. He's an interpreter for the deaf. And I had some deaf people on my book release.
Okay.
And they kept saying they couldn't hear. And I felt so bad because they didn't hear because the volume wasn't down. They couldn't hear because they're deaf.
Exactly.
So I was like, that would be a nice group to target. And so I'm having Anthony there to interpret, and I'm going to cook the food ahead of time.
Yes.
But I'm also going to do a cooking demonstration of my creamy shrimp pasta.
Oh,
And we're going to have a full lunch of baked fish, the pasta, a nice salad, dinner rolls. Anthony's going to make the bread pudding with rum sauce, and we're going to have a treat
okay.
from there. And so that's going to be, like I said, March 13th from 10 to 12. And you can buy your tickets on my website.
And can you give them the website, Ms. Sheryl?
Yes, it's Sheryl with an S, SherylBoudy.com. And the tickets are there as well as the cookbook.
Okay. And it's at the bottom of the screen, guys. So you can check at the bottom of the screen to see the website and information on purchasing your tickets. The event will be on March the 13th, which is called a cooking demo, right?
It's a cooking demo and a luncheon.
Cooking
correct.
demo and a luncheon, and it's open to the deaf community. They will have an interpreter that will be interpreting what Ms. Sheryl will be saying, and the food is going to be amazing. So you would definitely want to be there. It's going to be from 10 to 12 at K's Place on
Lapalco. 1525 Lapalco.
1525 Lapalco.
Yeah, and it's also open to the general public. The seating is limited due to COVID, so I'm only going to accept 40.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
so get your tickets now because the seating is limited. She's accepting only 40 people, so get your tickets now so you can be a part of this amazing event that's taking place on March 13th. So
Correct.
so that is going to be amazing. So Ms. Sheryl, I want you to talk to me a little bit about the book, some of the recipes. You want to share some of the recipes you have inside of there?
Sure. I started off with appetizers.
Okay.
Just basically because that's how we eat appetizers, dinner, and dessert, although I know some people want to eat dessert first. So I started off with appetizers, and a lot of my recipes, once I looked at them, 15 of my 25 recipes are seafood.
Oh.
And I think it's because we live in New Orleans, our
Yes.
seafood is plentiful. And the other good part is, although I do have seafood in it, they're very versatile. You can switch it up. For instance, I have my crawfish pies, right?
Oh,
And the crawfish
yes.
pies are very, very popular. I think that's one of the number one recipes that people want to follow.
The crawfish
And
pies.
if you do go on my website, I haven't checked it in a while, but I know I had over 1,700,000 views when I
Wow.
checked it in December, January. So that's very popular, but you can also add shrimp to it if you don't eat crawfish. Another recipe that's blown up is my crawfish egg rolls.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people tried that, and just what I wanted to happen happened. When people were getting my cookbook, I didn't even tell them to do this, and I am so happy and proud of my Facebook group and my followers. Every time someone got their book, they tagged me and they thanked me, and they said that they've received it, how wonderful it was, and then without me saying anything again, they started cooking
Wow.
my recipes and posting them. And it was just what I wanted to see. I wanted to see families in the kitchen cooking together,
Yes.
couples, young couples cooking together.
Yes.
I have a friend who's like a daughter of mine, Renadra, and she has a daughter, and her name is Val. And Val and her boyfriend got in the kitchen, Cam, and I called them Val and Cam in the kitchen. And those young people got in that kitchen and made my recipes and posted them, and they were working together, cutting shrimp together, having good conversation. That was like a date. Now, how many people spend money to go out on a date and do all this when you can be in your kitchen cooking with your significant other,
That's right.
and then you get to eat it? You don't have to go
Yes.
out and pay a big bill. You don't have to
Yes.
pay gratuity. You get to eat this good food.
Yes.
And so what I thought of is it was Mardi Gras time, and of course, being canceled in New Orleans, I still wanted to share some of Mardi Gras with
Yeah.
people. And so what I thought of is I did a gift box. and I included some of our New Orleans foods that were, non-perishable, and I sent them a gift box and congratulated them on being the top contributors
Wow.
to my cookbook, and gave them some pralines and Zaps chips and all kinds of nice stuff, Mardi Gras mass. Didn't tell them anything about it, and they were so excited. So that was my vision, to see that happening. I also have crabs. I have marinated crabs, which are very good.
I just saw that. I'm like, oh my, to put it down. I'm so hungry. Yeah.
And so from there, I went to the entrees. And the entrees that I picked were entrees that I just remember eating over and over in my home and just enjoying them. And then I started cooking these same recipes. And they're recipes like stewed chicken and red gravy. A lot of people were in love with that, because I don't just take a stewed chicken and make a brown gravy or red gravy. I combine the two.
Wow.
And so I make a roux before I put the red, with the red gravy, so that it's not so acidy. It's not like a marinara sauce. And so when we were coming up, my daddy would make a lot of gravies, which he called wet food. And so once we ate all the chicken out of the gravy, then maybe a couple of days later, we had that same gravy, but this time we had meatballs.
With something else.
Or we had, and we had different meats in the gravy, and sometimes he'd put wieners in the gravy and over spaghetti. It was just,
It was a meal.
constant
right.
food in the house, yeah.
And I love about this, your recipe book, Ms. Sheryl, is that you have it all laid out. You explain it so well, so you really can have a child that can read the directions and actually prepare these meals.
Yes.
These amazing recipes you have here, because but it's just laid out so well. You have the minutes preparation time. You have all the ingredients. You have how many people you can serve. It's just amazing, guys. So you really want to get a copy of this recipe book to add to your kitchen, so you can begin to create memories with your kids, and even your kids can get in the kitchen and start doing some things, and you guys can work together on this. So this is a really good. How many recipes do you have in here altogether?
I have 25 recipes in
25.
there. Yeah. And one of the big recipes that I started writing it, and then I threw it to the side. I started writing it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to break down and figure out how to make crawfish bisque, and give it to people in a description that they can follow. I know how to make it, but I never, had the recipe, and it's so complicated. But then it's not. It just takes a long time to do it, but you have to learn how to do it in segments.
Yeah.
It's gonna take you about 4 or 5 days, sometimes longer, but it's possible. You just don't have to cook as much as we cook.
Is that the one with the stuff in the crawfish?
Yes.
Yeah.
You stuff the crawfish heads with
Stuff
the
the crawfish
crawfish
heads.
dressing, and then you make the gravy, which is the bisque. But we always just said, gravy.
Yeah.
What we knew it as. And you can eat it over rice or spaghetti. And, of course, in my family, we had certain sides that had to go with what was cooked. And a lot of people on my group said the same thing. When they had fish, you got to have potato salad. When you have crawfish bisque, you got to have the peas, right? So it's just some traditions that I find that in talking with others on my Facebook group, and just talking to people in general, a lot of people do this same thing that I've done. It's just that they haven't written the book. But they're good cooks in their families. They have some of the same traditions.
Yes.
And
especially down here in New Orleans.
Yes,
in
New Orleans, yes.
A lot of great cooks down here in New Orleans.
Right.
A lot of great, just like you said, home cooks that just really know how to get in the kitchen and just create meals.
Exactly.
Yes, a lot of those. So, Ms. Sheryl, tell me about your sign. You say you have the sign have a lot of great history. What do you want to share with us?
Yeah. Of course, when people were asking about a logo, I was like, I don't have a logo. I'm just Sheryl in the kitchen. So my husband had did a sign in my kitchen, and I have Sheryl in the kitchen, and I thought that was my logo, but evidently it ain't. So I started back. It was Christmas Eve when a friend of mine's husband, Valdry, I was speaking to them, and I said, I need to get a logo, and he's like, well, let me send you to this website to start on your logo. And so he walked me through this website, and basically what you do is you you give an idea of what you want. If you're in the food industry, the cosmetic industry, or whatever. So mine being food, you have to pick what you want, but you have designers from all over the world to help you with this logo. And so I knew I wanted something like this. And I wanted, of course, Sheryl in the kitchen to stand out, which I
Yes.
have that going across the center.
Yes.
And then, without even knowing where I'm from, I wanted it to be depicted in my logo. So at the top, you see the, and my son Alden gave me this idea, which was laissez les bon temps rouler
Oh,
at the
good
top.
Creole.
Let the good times roll. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also have my fleur de lis at the bottom, which to
Okay.
me signifies the New Orleans Saints
Okay.
and New Orleans in general. And then, of course, I wanted some food on it. So initially, the designer just threw some shrimp in that little circle at the top. And I was
Okay.
like, so it has to go in a pot. It can't just sit out there on its own. So
Yeah.
I asked them to give me a cast iron skillet, which is very important to me because that is what my daddy cooked from in our
Okay.
home, was a cast iron skillet.
Okay.
And those skillets were passed down to me, and I still have every size of cast iron skillet that he had in my kitchen. I wanted the flame because I spoke about it in my logo release about the fire. Fire garnishes respect. And so I wanted to have that fire underneath the food. And then at the bottom, I have 5 stars. And those were put there on purpose because I felt I came from a sibling group of 5, which is Alvin, Sue, Anthony, Sheryl, and Alden. And then in my family, my immediate family, I have 5 people, which is Lee, Sheryl, Chris, Alvin, and Alden. And the last significance of those 5 stars is people tell me all the time, and I'm not even trying to brag on the food, but it is what it is. My food is 5 stars.
Wow.
My food, I think, can be compared to any master chef. A lot of people say, you need to go on this, and you need. No, I don't want to go on Food Network. I don't want to do that type of thing.
Yes.
Although I know I can cook.
Yes.
You know, cooking is just not about cooking.
Yes.
Cooking is about being able to talk when you're cooking. It's able to stay on path, or stay on, it's more than just that, y'all.
Yes.
It's like
reaching the audience.
it's
and
reaching the
yes,
audience,
staying
talking
connected. Yep.
about the food and not slipping up.
Yes.
You're not burning stuff.
Yes.
So I'm where I want to be, and that's to sell my books. I want to do some demonstrations at different places, giving cooking demonstrations to children and to adults. And I do have some other avenues I'm moving into in terms of the cooking aspect and demonstrations, but they're going to be at different places. I don't have it lined up yet. But my main goal right now is to promote my book. And once my book, maybe, when it fades and when it gets a little less hectic, then I'm going to, pull up another scheme, I should say.
So that means y'all have to stay tuned. You
Just
got to
stay
stay
tuned.
watching. Keep watching. Because
Yeah.
Miss Sheryl is making moves, and she's going to be continue doing a lot of great things. So
Yes.
you want to continue following her to know what she's doing next. And, I mean, you're going to be doing some great things. I want to read something. Well, also, I think it was your husband said, what about the Duke in the kitchen?
Oh, my
Just now.
grandson, my grandson, Alvin. Oh, my God. He's named after his dad, but he's also got my dad's last name, my first
Okay.
name as well. But he has just taken to the kitchen. He's my little chef.
Okay.
And I went out my way, and I was like, you know what? I need to get this child in the kitchen with me because I can really tell when he was a little boy, about 2, we go to the store, and he wanted to buy the little play pots and pans and the spatulas
in
and all
'em.
that.
Is in
And
'em.
he wanted to play with my measuring cups when I was giving him a bath. And I was like, So what did I do? I went out and bought him, I ordered it, chef hats, chef jackets. He knows that, when it's important that we wear the chef jacket when we just cooking in the kitchen. He has his apron on, and he has the Chef Alvin on his hat. Chef Alvin's Kitchen on his.
Really?
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 7 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait
And
to see him.
so-
I can't wait to see when he get a little older. He's
Yeah.
going to be something else.
He loves being in the kitchen with me, and too, it's not about the cooking either. When I first started with him, he was shy. He didn't want to speak in front, he has blossomed. And so that's the important thing with getting children in the kitchen.
Yes.
They're learning, they're having conversations with you, they're
Yes.
asking questions.
Yes.
It's just like the other day I asked him in his gumbo, I said, you want brown rice or you want white rice? You want green rice or purple rice? He's like, he didn't know how to answer me. So he looked at me and he's like, I guess white rice. And so when we got off the camera, because I'm filming everything, he says, Grammy, you were trying to trick me because when the gumbo goes over the rice, it gets brown. So you see, from his perspective, he was right.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. That's
So
right.
he, and I
That is right.
I love being in the kitchen, and anybody, who comes to my house, they will sit at my counter and just watch me cook, and then I'll just start, taste
Service.
this, taste that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. You never need to say
So
to
it's
call
a
me.
it's a pleasure. I love to feed people.
So I want to read something you put on there. You said, this is real talk right here. You said, the road to success is not straight. There's a curve called failure, a loop called confusion, speed bumps called friends, red lights called enemies, caution lights called family. You will have flats called jobs, but if you have a spare called determination and an engine called perseverance, what is it? Yeah. No, not perseverance. Yeah, perseverance. Yes, perseverance. Insurance called fate, a driver called Jesus. You will make it to a place called success. I love it.
Yes. Yeah, I actually saw that on Facebook, and it wasn't my wording,
But you
but
posted
it was
yes.
so on target.
Yes, yes.
Because, I think we had talked about this before we came on air. When you get to a place where you're elevating and you're successful,
Yes.
and people see that, there does come some jealousy, some envy. People won't congratulate you. People will look the other way.
Yes.
And it's the people who you don't know, the people who are watching you, who know that you have the potential to succeed, who actually, my group keeps me motivated.
And it's actually people, like you said, that you do not know that keeps you
Exactly.
motivated. Because most time the ones that you looking to motivate you are not
Exactly.
going to be there.
Right.
Why, I don't know, but you can't concern yourself with it. You got to just continue to move forward. But once you learn that, okay, I'm not going to look for that support from you, I know it's coming from somewhere. God's going to use somebody to do that.
Exactly.
So with that being said, Ms. Sheryl, I want you to, in your camera, there's somebody out there that's listening that may have that, they have that passion to do something, which is their purpose. What would you say to inspire them to go forward and take that leap of faith and just step into it and just begin doing it? What would you say to them to encourage them?
Right. People do have a lot of, they're excuses. They're excuses of to why they can't do this. A lot of times it's financial. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. But if you have the time to get on social media and spend hours on social media, you spend hours, just think of what you do the most.
Yes.
All right? And cut back on some of that time and see where it leads you. But the first thing that you have to do, and it's a must, is that you have to have a vision. Without a vision,
People perish.
it's just a hobby. Without a vision, you can't move forward because you're so stuck in the I can't, I won't, I don't have time, I don't have anybody to support me. You will never, ever, ever believe the people who God will put in your path.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, He
People
will.
who I never, ever dreamed of that God would put in my path. It's people that I didn't even know.
Yes.
People who send me messages to inspire me. You never know where this life is going to lead you. You just have to take and walk by faith.
Yes.
Walking in your purpose is another thing that you must do if you want to succeed. You can't look at what your sister, brother, your other people in this world are doing. Some people want to do it real quick.
Yes.
Some people want to move on quick, but they never plan. They never had the purpose some people want to do things and they don't have a direction. You have to have things written down. This book that I got, which like I said, is Walking by Faith. You can see I use it all the time. And I'm about to have to get another book because there's some things that I want to do, but it's not the time. but I write it down.
Yes.
Because there is going to be the time
Amen.
when I'm ready for that.
That's right.
And so my whole purpose of doing this was to create an atmosphere in your family. We have to stick with our families first. Families first and then friends. And some people don't have that. So all I'm saying is just if you don't have the family, find you a good support group.
Yeah.
Get involved with people who are like-minded. You can't have somebody who you're up here and they're down here and you have to constantly elevate them.
Yeah.
You have to find people who are equal or who have the
winning.
same drive.
That's it.
Right. You can't have people hanging on your coattails, somebody pulling you down, because it's going to happen. And everything that happens in life is not going to be successful. Everything that you do is not going to be a win-win.
Yeah.
It just so happened that in my case, it was a win-win because I prepared myself.
Yeah.
I didn't look at Sheryl in the kitchen or dealing with food as my main source of income. So being retired, my husband's retired, I'm retired, we're at a place where we can do these types of things
Yes.
because I don't have a job to run to, and I can focus a lot of my time on
what you
Sheryl
do.
in the kitchen.
Yes.
But you have to wait until it's your
time.
season. And some people are jumping in and out of seasons because they want to do things too quickly.
Yes.
It's like, and when you don't have a plan, you know that saying, right?
Without a plan, the people perish.
Right.
So you have to have a plan. Like Ms. Sheryl said, get the book and start writing down the things you want to do.
You must
And
write
start-
down.
Yeah, plan first, and just another thing too is pray and plan.
Yes.
Pray and plan, and then let God lead you, and He will lead you what you need for you to do. And if God is leading you to it, He is going to make provision. I promise you, He will make provision every time.
Yes.
So, Ms. Sheryl, I want to thank you for being here with me on today.
You're
Tell
welcome.
them how they can contact you to purchase a book, your website.
Okay. It's Sheryl, again, Sheryl with an S.
And it's on the bottom of the screen. I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, SherylBoudy.com. You can order my cookbook as well as the tickets for the March 13th event from
Yes.
10 to 12 at Kay's Place at 1525 La Palco Suite 17. And you can also get my book at the community bookstore
Yes.
as on Bayou Road. And Vera is the owner of the bookstore. Just tell her I sent you there. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to be coming up with some things over at the community bookstore to get more involved with my cookbook.
Yes.
And my cookbook is also available at Rue Royale in the French Quarter and also Rue Toulouse, which is right across the street. So you can also join Sheryl in the Kitchen on
Yes.
Facebook as well as on Instagram, because although I have these recipes in my cookbook, they're not all that I do. You will learn so much if you follow
Yes, you
Sheryl in the
will.
Kitchen, because I am very interactive. I post things constantly. I will give you tips. I will give you insights into things that you're not going to learn in the cookbook.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely go on to Facebook, guys, and join Sheryl in the Kitchen. There's a lot of great things that she's doing on there. Like she said, there's so many other things that she's doing that's not in the recipe book that you all can follow and learn from. So definitely go on Facebook and join the group on today, Sheryl in the Kitchen, and definitely go onto the website, which is at the bottom of the screen, and purchase your book, the recipe book. They have so many amazing recipes in there. I had to put it down because I'm just kind of hungry, but amazing, and it's very is you can follow this. A child can follow this recipe. She made it so easy for you guys to go in there and make these recipes that she has in the recipe book. So, Ms. Sheryl, thank you again, and stay tuned because she has so many things coming up with the kids and different things she's going to be working on. So you have to follow close so you won't miss anything. And don't forget
Exactly.
about the event on March the 13th from 10 to 12 on La Palco at Kay's Place
25.
1525 La Palco. You don't want to miss that. So get your tickets. There's only 40 people that she's allowing. So the tickets, you need to get your tickets and get your seat. Reserve that now. Go to the website to reserve your tickets for that and to purchase your amazing book. So I want to thank you for being here with me on today. We're going to have Ms. Sheryl back again with some of her amazing food. So I'm going to continue following along and see what you have going on, because I know you're going to be moving and doing a lot of great things, Ms. Sheryl. So thank you for coming on and inspiring us on today, and continue allowing God to just lead you and just open the door and to continue. Like I know you said your passion statement, your purpose statement was inspiring others to cook.
Exactly. That's
So
very
simple.
simple. Inspiring others to cook. And also, I talk about my city, New Orleans, because I'm so proud of being a New Orleanian that before every recipe, I tell a story
Wow.
about New Orleans and about my childhood. And some of the places don't exist anymore, like Schwagman and doing
Oh,
things,
yeah.
going different places. And that's a legacy in itself that children also, when they read this cookbook, that they can have conversations with their family, and families can talk about
history,
a lot of
yeah.
the traditions and the places that, like they say, it ain't there no more.
It ain't there, right? It ain't there no more.
Right.
So, guys, thank you for tuning in. And again, don't forget to tune in next week, same time, same place. Thank you, Miss Sheryl, for
You're
being here with
welcome.
us on today. Go and follow Miss Sheryl and Sheryl in the kitchen, guys, and purchase her amazing recipe book from the website and get your tickets for the event on March 13th. Do not miss it. Be blessed and enjoy the rest of your